This is a relationship where the customer needs you personally as much as you need your customer. This is a relationship where is your customer prepared to put their career on the line for you?
Hello, I'm with Keith Dugdale again. Welcome back, Keith.
Thank you, John.
Keith, I know you have a model for looking at types of relationships, and you've got 4 categories in that. Let's talk about those a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we see 4 distinct types of relationships.
Is it sales relationships?
Sales relationships, absolutely. And it's very important that you understand what sort of relationship you have with your clients, your customers, and also what sort of relationship you want to have. Because unless you understand what those both are, it's impossible to shift them.
Right.
And so, you know, we talk about a social relationship, for example. A social relationship is one that's driven by entertaining, having fun.
Yeah, you become a mate with your customer.
You're a mate. It's maybe an ex-university colleague, maybe friends of kids' parents and things, or someone who you just got really close to in a business environment.
And you can leverage that, can't you?
You can, but it's really hard. We'd say it's the lowest return on investment.
Okay, I thought you'd say that.
Fundamentally, how do you change the conversation from being about the weather and the score to I want your money? And so what we would generally recommend in that situation, you can shift it, but generally we'd recommend to get somebody else involved to build the business relationship.
Right, okay.
But don't introduce them at the barbecue, otherwise you're going to recreate the same problem.
And yeah, obviously don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second sort of relationship, and probably the most common we found, is what we would call a technical relationship. A technical relationship is one that's driven by the fact they are buying the quality of your product and nothing else, product or service. And so
you have a great technical product, you've communicated about that, they like your product.
Absolutely, you understand your product, they can see how the product will help.
You have good knowledge about your product.
Absolutely right. And if you like, it's kind of the traditional way of selling, understand your product. The problem now, as we all know, is everything is becoming commoditized.
Yes.
And by the time the customer makes a decision, they probably know 60% of what you know about the product already.
So a technical relationship is very dangerous for that point of view.
I think it's the most dangerous because people tend to look through the rear view mirror and see our revenue stream is historically very good, therefore our relationship is good. And the first time they realise they have a technical relationship is when they get the communication that either says, look, we've loved buying from you for all these years, but we've decided to give this other mob a crack. Or, we want to carry on working with you, but we're going to need a discount. Because they found somewhere else they can get a very similar product for a lot less.
Right. Okay. So it is not the right sort of relationship to
Going
have
forward,
in
I think
most
it's a very dangerous one.
Okay, and the third?
The third is, we call it the ad hoc relationship, and this is a kind of reactive relationship. You wait until somebody contacts you, either with an RFP or a phone call, and so you're reacting to an immediate need. And 2 issues with that for us, actually probably 3 issues for us. One is it's a very expensive way of running a business. That proposal process is typically very expensive. The second thing is you don't know how many of these requests you're not being invited to. And the third thing is if you're only getting involved at that stage, price will be the driver.
So this is related to the last discussion we had, which is around RFPs and RFTs. And
Absolutely.
only, that's doing all your business in that sort of environment. Filling the pipeline, but an expensive thing to do when you're not closing enough.
Very, very expensive thing to do, and also even if you are closing, a very expensive thing to keep on doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and the fourth?
A fourth is the hallowed goal. The fourth is the partner relationship, and for us, this is a very different relationship to the traditional relationship. This is a relationship where the customer needs you personally as much as you need your customer. This is a relationship where is your customer prepared to put their career on the line for you?
You know, this rings a bell for me in a lot of things that we do and talk about. And what I think what you're saying is if you're in there creating value for your customer, and helping the customer even when there's nothing to sell.
Absolutely.
Right? So you build a trusted relationship, and he or she then sees that you are driving value for them. They're going to come to you when they have a specific need.
Absolutely right. And if you have that bravery and commitment to the client, then you will always win in the end. But if you're only there, to steal David Maister's language around self-orientation, you're only there when there might be something in it for you. Why should they trust you?
And the same, look at the Challenger sale and the way they talk
Absolutely.
about the fact that you've got to be right there at the early part of the relationship. You've got to build that relationship, a trusted relationship. I know CEB talk about the word relationship. There's no such thing as relationship selling, but I think they're talking about something different to this. Here we create trust by creating value.
Yep.
And when we build a trusted relationship.
Yeah, we actually went and spoke to CB. We went over to Washington to talk to them
Mm-hmm.
about that whole notion about relationships don't work.
Mm.
And they were very clearly saying that when they talk about relationships, they're talking about what we would call social relationships.
Yeah.
And there's an absolute correlation between the challenger sale and what we call a partner relationship.
I agree. And I just wanted to make sure that was clarified.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you see the 4 relationships, and obviously the fourth is having a partner type relationships in the terminology you use. Stay away from the technical relationship.
Yep.
Stay away from the ad hoc, and sorry, the third was
The social.
the social. Of course, I think that's great advice. It's really tough, and I think we need to talk a lot more about how we do build partner relationships. But we all know now that that's where we've got to focus.
Absolutely. And I think the market is now recognising that's where they need to get to, but a lot of wrestling with what that journey looks like.
How do you get there?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about that more.
Thank you, John.